Good afternoon, everybody. This is Steve on a beautiful Wednesday afternoon in Houston, Texas. Here to show you guys the latest build of Alliance of the Sacred Sons. So what I'm going to be doing is basically a Let's Play. I'm not going to explain everything new. Obviously, the game is not perfect, but I do want to show you some of what we have been working on and some of the new options that you have, because quite a bit has changed. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it. And go ahead and we'll pick an empire size. Now this is all pretty much still the same. I'm going to go with Hawkstorm. It's kind of my testing. Empire creation. All this is pretty much left unchanged. So when we actually get into the game, that's where you're going to start to see some differences. So one of the biggest differences is there's a lot more going on. We're in the process of putting in the character AI and the house and civilization AI. So essentially, there's two tiers of artificial intelligence. There is the house level / civilization level, in which the houses themselves have goals, whether it's money, whether it's power, whether it's expansionism, whether it's being good to their population. And their house leader is going to try to steer the house towards those particular goals. Now, on the individual level, characters will have personal, what they're called ultimate goals, and they will partake actions to achieve those goals, just like you do as the Emperor. They have action points that they can use to do things. Now, only house leaders and civilization leaders can execute projects, but they can do that as well. Characters can take actions to fulfill their goals. So it's kind of a smaller level version of exactly what you as the Emperor are doing. So it's kind of exciting, but of course that takes a fair amount of AI power. So one of the things I'm working on right now is optimization. The good news is the wait times are a little bit longer between turns. I've got it down to about a minute or so, depending on the size of the galaxy. Remember, you're not starting with a single planet and a single scout ship. You have a fully formed empire already sitting there. So imagine a game of Distant Worlds where you already have, 15 star systems with 3 or 4 planets on each, and you have a fully formed civilization. In the game, we're not turn-based. So there's quite a bit to calculate. So that's something that I'm working on. But the good news is when you start the game, even when you have the turn generating, you're a lot more free to move around, zoom in, do what you need to do. It only slows down during certain issues. So a lot has changed in the setup of the game. The biggest thing you'll see, we've added some more constellations. So it's going to be a lot easier for you as the player to actually move out of your home system. Earlier versions of the game, you could have gaps that were almost impossible to get out of. Now, with this version, you will be able to build logistical stations large enough relatively early on to move out of your the constellations that you start with. There are a lot more actions that you can take. There are several more projects that have been added. The graphics have changed, so we're just about to get into the game, and I'll be able to start showing you exactly what we're talking about. So, and you can't hear the music or sound effects, but a lot of music and sound effects have been added as well. All right, so we're starting in the game. So as you can see, already, hopefully kind of see straight off that there are a lot more provinces than there were in earlier game starts, because you have constellations that are closer together. We'll go ahead and zoom into here. Now, another big change is that the planets are now completely 3D except for greenhouse planets. There is a bug right now where they're all pointing towards Osiris as far as their light source. I'm still working on that, but all the stars have been redone. You see they're nice and pretty now. There's more types, and of course now all the planets have been done as well. So you can also see that there's a lot better performance, getting a steady 40 to 45 frames per second, although it may not show up in this particular video. All right, let's go ahead and zoom into Osiris. We'll kind of show you a few more types, so you can kind of get a sense. So here is the new Super Earth. It's kind of a stormy, kind of a cool looking planet. We'll probably continue to tweak that. Kind of zoom out. As you can see, I've also worked on a lot of balancing, and especially when it comes to the economic side, there used to be a great big slowdown when you were in economic. That's kind of been taken care of. So here's New Terra in all its glory. All right, so what we're going to do, I'm going to kind of point out things. Those are kind of the big graphical differences. There's the province hub, civilization hub, so we'll kind of get into that because the trade system has also been updated. So what I'm going to start out doing now, a big part of the game that's been added is now the economic system. So as you can see here, gross economic product, right now, if nothing else changes, at the end of this year, I expect to have 607 billion credits available for use by the empire. Now we have a new economic screen. It's still kind of in its stages, but you can kind of see here, that's what I'm expecting right now. And here is the profit or loss of each planet. Now I'm kind of working on this. You can see anything that shows a 0 is the empire share because it has a negative. These are planets that are owned by other houses. We call them holdings. If there is a negative gross product, which can happen if there's more infrastructure or if they have star-based infrastructure, trade infrastructure, if it's on a hostile planet, infrastructure is more expensive to maintain, you can easily go into the negative. So fortunately, I'm not paying for those planets, and that is actually one strategy. Is you can give a planet that has a significant negative, you can give it to a house to kind of take off your hands. So I do have one planet, Paradise, that has a -6 share. So let's take a closer look at it. Let's kind of go in and see what's going on. So I have 39 base gross planetary products, so that's based entirely on my population and my admin. Now, one reason this is so low is because my ADL is only a 7. This is my average development level, and this is influenced by the type of pops that I have on the planet. So if I have a lot of farmers and miners, it's going to be pretty low. If I have a lot of engineers and administrators and scientists, it's going to be higher because they make more money, spend more money, etc. So my Viceroy economic skill is only a 12, so that's very low because this can go between 0 and 200. So that's having a very big impact on my planet product. I also have a retail sector. Now, retail has been expanded in this version. You can control it to a greater extent. Basically, you can have up to 100% of your production geared towards retail, and that is affected by your merchant efficiency, which is essentially how many merchants you have, their skill level versus how many people you have on the planet. The higher the efficiency basically means there's more places for merchants to sell their goods, etc., etc. Right now I have 7% of my percent dedicated to retail, and my infrastructure is costing me 51. So when I go into my mode here, each section costs a little bit more, and I don't have the costs in yet. Basically, volcano terrain is going to be a lot more expensive to build from than, you know, plains terrain and ocean terrain. And your development, when these are developed, they're going to try to develop the plains areas first and kind of work backwards. So they're not going to try to put everybody on a volcano. But when you run out of space, like right now, you see they put a tremendous amount of infrastructure on this planet. They can support up to 1,843 million pops. So plenty of room to grow. Still room to build additional development. So there's that. So as you can see, this is a tremendously effective heavy material world. 99 out of 100, it's phenomenal. So we kind of want to take a look at how can we get this plan out of the red. Now there's any number of small and large-term goals. For now, my short-term goal is to try to get this planet out of the red and try to make it profitable. So let's see what we can do. So the easy thing to do is simply replace the Viceroy with someone who is more effective. But of course they might not be very happy about that. So for one thing, she's serving under duress. She's with the great house of Milok, and let's just see how Milok, let's look at our houses and see. This has also been updated. I've added a few more information about each house. House relations have been updated. You now see how many holdings they have as well as their budgets and power. So this is kind of more of a quick view and more helpful. So Milok hates us. Basically, they're on unfriendly terms with us, so they're a lot less likely to work with us. Another little thing here, you can X out. So I can try to ask her to leave. Since they already hate me anyway, I might as well try to remove her from post. This is a new action. And as you can see, we've greatly expanded the conversation log. now it's color-coded based on how they feel about you. So this is what's called prey. So they acknowledge that you're way more powerful than them, but they don't really like you. So I'm going to try to replace this person with someone a little better. So I'm going to look at the admin, since that's usually a good way to tell. So as you can see, you see question marks on the tooltip where the skills are. That means that I don't have enough intel about this character to know whether they'll be any good. I really don't want to put them there anyway because they don't like me very much. Now this is new. This trait on this side shows the relationship between this character and this character. This is your relationship with the Emperor. So this shows that they're friends with me, but they absolutely hate this person. So if I do this, that's going to further inflame relations not only between Milok and my house, but also Barwan and that house, because they already have a negative relationship. So now this person has a economic skill of 200. That's phenomenal. Let's take a look at some of the other skills. So the mining is only 14, which isn't great because it's probably going to be a mining planet, even though it's a provincial capital. Exceptional intelligence, only 1 admin. So I have to decide if I put this guy in, if I can even do that at all. I'm going to get less admin out of a provincial capital, which in the way the projects are rescaled, you really need your provincial capitals to be the generator, because they're where they're kind of pulling in the admin. So I may look for someone different there. Okay, so 1, 2, don't know, and 8. Let's see, let's add Hawkstorm and see if there's anyone on the plan. Okay, so let's go into the system. Province. So this is a fairly small province. It's just, it looks like a 1 system province. All right, so here's bar 1, 25. Hawken typically tends to be pretty good with that. So as you can see, I don't have a whole lot of great choices, and there's always trade-offs. So I think I'm going to come back to my original guy, and let's look at their traits just to see what else is going on here. So they have relatively low power, so they like me, which is good, because I'm going to be putting them in a provincial capital, which means they're going to have the opportunity to gain more power. They don't have a lot of money. They have high charm and medium empathy, which is good because I'm putting them on a planet that is a holding of mine, which means it'll probably be Neo-American population. This is actually a gilded world. So Gilded Barwan and Gilded Worlds, mercantile pops and cultures tend to be the best at economics, you can see with a 200. So we're going to go ahead and try to put them in. So, which interests us, I need to remove you from this post for the good of the Empire. Will you go quietly, or have to use other means to remove you? Well, I have a bad feeling I'm going to have to use yes. I am very disappointed and angry. If you use your removal, will not leave my post. You'll have to kill me or fight me. Well, we can make that happen, so that's not going to work. Now, we have some other options in this new version. So we can get their immediate supervisor or superior to put what's called pressure. Now, this guy is happy with me. He and I are friends, so I will probably be able to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask him to apply pressure to subordinate. This basically puts political, social pressure, etc. You know, it's a very broad way of just pressuring this person to do what you ask. And of course, it has a lot to do with their power, which has got a pretty high power level. So let's see what happens. Okay, so I need you to put pressure on Placentria, who now hates me, who is now, by the way, wants to challenge me. Oh, and they have a very bad relationship too. This should be great. All right, so this should definitely happen, unless this guy has a super high honor level. I didn't check. Okay, yep. I appreciate the need for a little forceful action now and again. I'll make sure they see the need to do your bidding. So now you see pressure level 9. So now, when I go to Miss Placentria, now their pressure level's high. So that means that the system governor is putting the clamps down on them to do something. So I'm going to try again. Now with this pressure, and I notice every time I'm doing this, it's taking an action point away. So see how much time, if I only had 7 is a tremendous amount of action points. Usually you only have 3 or 4. So you could spend a whole turn doing nothing but getting one character on one planet set up. So we talk a lot about choices. You kind of see it here. So we're going to go back to our, where was he? Here he is, Docio. All right. So we'll see if this works. Now she really hates me, so it may not even be enough pressure at this point, but we'll see what happens, because pushing someone out is a very, very negative act. and it actually also increases your fear level. Okay, I refuse your removal. Okay, so that still didn't work. You see the pressure level's high. So even with the pressure, she's not going. So I have to find something other way to do this. So there's a couple things I can do. I can give this world to Milak, which they would take because it's a pretty nice world. It's provincial capital. I can do this by just in house action, reassign empire holding to house, and I would give it to Milak, but I don't think I want to do that yet. So that's one option I have. Another option, if she liked me better, I could try to change the retail allocation percentage. Right now to 8%. I could change it to about 50%. This will, since I have a good merchant percentage, I have a pretty good trade infrastructure in place already, so I'd like to take advantage of that. But I don't think she's going to. See, the pressure went down to very little. So he basically made his push on that one item, and it didn't work out. So he lost power as a result. I lost power as well. I didn't point that out, but that is a risk when you pressure someone and it doesn't work. So I'm going to see if she'll raise the retail allocation to 50%. Huh, right. So I help you after you piss all over me in public. Not happening. Absolutely not. So they remember also that you tried to pressure them and that you do things. They have memories. If you try to assassinate them or pressure them or force them to do something, they will remember. They have a grudge level, and it takes a very long time to drop. So I've spent half my month, and I've gotten basically nowhere except pissing them off even more. So I can do some other things. I can try make a public peace offering. Now this is a little bit of grovel. You notice, by the way, my power keeps dropping. It was in the 320s, now it's 305. So you see that if it's public, this will have public effects on my fear and love level, which, by the way, I haven't talked about, but fear and love is now split out. You can see them. So we'll try to make a public peace offering. Now, normally, if this were a real game, I probably wouldn't do this, but this character really needs to go. There's some stuff going on. They have a 49% fear rating, only 17% love, which means people hate them. If I get out, if I go to the demographics here, the public order is only 73%. So that means that they're already unhappy. Now 67% is the Terran Remnant, which is a kind of a secondary culture from kind of the hinterlands. So they're not real happy with who's in charge right now. So I really need to try and get her out of here. She's a backstabber and she's cruel. Those are also things that don't help her. And she has very, very, very low empathy. And I need to fix these tooltips. They got kind of messed up in the last update. So I'm going to try this. I'm going to try and make a public peace offering. This is basically me groveling. Good day, Pochintia. I've wronged you and I feel that our relationship needs to improve. I'm willing to apologize for past wrongs done to you publicly, to the whole empire. Now, I'm going to lose about 20 to 30 power as a result of doing this. But this is a very, very powerful way of improving a relationship if you're willing to lose a lot of power. Sure, why not? And okay, well, something happened, but they did not accept because I still have a challenge under there. So. Okay, so as a result, they didn't accept, so I didn't lose any power because they didn't accept my thing to do that. All right, so I'm down to 2. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of there. I've done what I can do. Let's take a look at a few other things. Let's take a look at my economic structure. So one thing that has also changed is the trade hub graphics have changed a little bit, and the trade groups have also changed. Now, you can see that not every province has a province hub, and many planets do not have system hubs, and this is by design. Basically, with the change in how games are set up, the farther out that a system and a province is from the center hub, which is New Terra, the less chance they'll have of having existing infrastructure. So it may be that you will have to build up from scratch some infrastructure. Now, it looks like this area over here has a good group. It's got a province hub and 2 system hubs. However, the province hub is owned by Milak, who hates me, so that's going to be a problem. So they're not going to send me any goods, so that's something I'm going to have to look at. If you look at my holdings here, I have a fair amount of energy. Things have been rebalanced quite a bit to take a lot less, but having 1,000 heavy materials is really going to handicap me as far as trying to move to other planets and build star bases. basically try to expand. So that is going to be a problem. Oh, what's over here? Okay, so improved relations. So this is from an action that I took earlier. So you have secondary effects now, everything you do. So when one of the actions that I took created improved relations with this person, a provincial governor, which is great, because now we're friends. And it also pissed somebody else off. Oh, Skipopia, system governor. So, of Milok. Well, yes, that makes sense, because I tried to push out someone from Milok. So that makes a lot of sense. And they were probably friends. Anyway, so that's another thing that has changed. So I'm going to right click and I can kind of get rid of those. All right, so I come over here. So we've got a system here, and that is owned by Barwan. I'm sorry, Halcyon Musharraf, but we are friends, so that's a good thing. So we're on pleasant terms. So I'm a little bit more willing to help them out. So as you can see, they have a system trade hub, but they do not have a province trade hub. So what I can do is I can build a province trade hub, but they need to have, and now under this new system, they need to have a starbase and then a trade port, and then a system trade hub, and then that's built to a province trade hub. So I can actually expand this to a province trade hub, which I think I'm going to do just to show you the new system. So you can see here, system trade hub, this has kind of changed. These have gone down. These are the needs. They go from 0 to 100. 100 basically means the viceroy needs something like immediately, whereas the 0 means that they feel like they have everything they need. So I'm going to go ahead and create a province trade hub. So as you can see, it's going to cost, and that's what I'm talking about, 300 heavy, basic, but 600 heavy. And you can see I only have 1,000 here. So I'm going to need to find sources of heavy, and to a lesser extent some energy. So we'll go ahead and start that. Now, here's a new, there's so much new stuff here, I may not be able to get to it all, but administrator travel time. So before, you could just pick an administrator anywhere in the empire, it didn't matter, there were no repercussions. Well, now, you can still pick an empire administrator, but there will be repercussions. They will take longer to get there. So let's take a look at the planet. Let's see, as you can see, the travel time is 0 because they are in the same system, or same planet. Planet and system have a travel time of 0. So skill 1, 135, but they can only take one person. That's probably not going to work. So let's see in the system if we have anybody better. See, we have very few that are over 100. So we're going to have to look in the province. And this is where the travel time starts to come into play. You can see 0, 1, you can kind of see there might be a 2 or 3, but most of the province, it's the central province, it's not going to take as long. All right, so we've got a skill of 4, which is phenomenal. This is my spouse, yay. So we're going to go ahead and have Gala be the administrator. So they're going to get a +8, since the power of this particular project is 15. And now we're going to need to add some people with admin. So we're going to make admin greater than 0, sort by PDM. So as you can see, remember that if they refuse to serve, they're not going to give me their admin. So these are the only 4 people in all the empire that are going to give admin to me right now, because Barwan is friendly with me, Halcyon Musharraf is friendly with me, and Kirli Finn, they are indifferent, but they do not have any admin to give. So I'm kind of up a creek, and as you can see, Hawkstorm does not have much in the way of, I don't have any source. So let me go to Empire and let it load. So now I have more options, but you can still see 77 is the best. So now I have to decide if I want Fidela to have quite a bit of power from funding 100% of this project, which I am willing to do because I want to get this done. So I drag her over here, and now it's going to take 3 turns to complete, including the turn for the administrator to get here, because remember, it's 1 turn. So I can add someone else, but you can see there's not a lot of admin. The red in admin, by the way, means that they're not within the chain. In other words, they're not in this system, or they're not the province trade hub, or the province capital of this particular system. So if they're outside of the planet, system, province, chain of command, then they will show as red. That's all that means. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that as it is. I could put another person here, but the admin I may want, since it's so far away from this planet, I'm only getting 17 out of it. I'll probably want to use that for something closer in. So if I use her for the project, she'll be tied up for at least 3 turns. So we'll go ahead and execute. So now we have a new build province trade hub. So now we have 0 AP. So we're going to go ahead and get out. And we're going to go ahead and, as I said before, that is 1 turn. Now I talked through a lot of things, but you know, you kind of want to get a sense. So your goals, especially at this stage of the game, of the development, obviously you don't want your love level to fall below 20. If it falls below 20, then you are at risk of being assassinated because your people hate you. The goal is if you get your love level above 80, then you can auto win the game at this point, because your people, essentially in the final game, you will be able to research a reform called the Lazarus Project. I know, terribly original, but that will allow you to live forever and rule forever. But in order to do that, your houses have to all agree to allow that, and your people have to basically love you, because they're saying that they want to basically have you rule them forever, which is quite a tall order. So they want to be with someone that they know will not do a poor job. So there's that. So as you can see, my love dropped just a little bit, not too much. My power is at 305. I'm going to gain a little bit of power when this project is completed. You don't gain power until projects are completed. As you can see, this went up just a little bit. And you can see because I used the, even if this project gets canceled, and you will be able to cancel projects in a later version, you will lose the vast majority of your resources. So you don't really want to cancel projects until they are pretty much, you know, they are dead and buried, or you absolutely have to free up people to use them somewhere else, or something like that. So, so like I said, the turn takes about a minute or so, give or take. You know, I have a lot going on. Towards the end of the turn, you will see hopefully ships starting to go towards the province hubs, and then you'll see how that works. That's been kind of updated. There should be more trades generated between empires and between houses and between planets, since we've lowered the amount of the money. We've made each individual resource more valuable, and as a result, it's easier for planets to afford trades. We've also allowed planets to trade even if they have a negative GPP. In the past, they had to have a positive in order to trade. Once they ran out of their trade budget, they were basically out of luck. Now they can go in the negative, and that's part of the possible deficit of a planet, which you will have to decide how to help, whether you want to try to get that resource onto the planet, whether you want to replace the Viceroy with someone a little better, whether you want to change the trade status, encourage others around them to trade to that particular planet. I mean, there's a lot of different options to solving problems in Alliance of the Sacred Sons, and the goal is each new version, there should be additional ways to solve. So that's kind of the goal. So we're getting pretty close, because it's getting kind of hard to move there. So I am going to put in a kind of a indicator that shows where we are in the turn, because there is definitely a lot going on behind the scenes. There's migration of population, there is calculation of love and fear level, there are projects that are being generated, there's the AI of characters trying to decide their goals, there's houses trying to decide their goals, there's trades being generated, there's trade hubs being created. So all right, so we're finally at the new turn. It took about a minute and a half. So there is a bug right now where the first turn, the hubs are not, the trade groups are not generated properly. That's why you saw this part of the trade group, even though they weren't touching. So this is actually correct now. So this shouldn't actually be able to send to this planet. Well, actually, no, they are. They're doing a trade, so that's okay. But next turn, so basically the way trades work, there are 2 types of trades. There are supply trades, which are the green ships, and those are the trades that are sent from System Hub to Province Hub back to Neo-Cyrus. That's essentially the Empire saying we want our goods from our planets, from our holdings, and from our stations. I'm sorry, our outposts. You can do mining outposts. So that's how you get them through there. But of course, they have to be connected. So since there is no province hub on Adelwyd yet, it's being built, although it takes one turn for it to get there. That's why you're not seeing it start yet. No goods will come from here through that. So right now, you do see one province hub sending their goods. You can see the green. You can see it being sent. You can also see this system hub sending to the province hub. That's that little line right there. The next turn, you'll actually be able to see the ships. They'll actually be. I need to find a better way to show that the ships are actually there. They're kind of in the middle of the star right now. So over here, Province Hub is not sending any goods because remember what I said earlier, Milok hates me. So Milok basically holds their goods unless and until I can convince their system governor to release them. So let me see if I can do that. Let's talk to our system governor. Oh, look, it's our good friend Scoopcopia. Oh, boy. Okay. So we are probably going to have a really hard time with this. So, but we'll try. So we go to Assignment Actions, and we'll go Demand Empire Trades. So, what do you want? Yeah, well, I want you to send your stuff to me. This is almost certainly going to fit. By the way, this is a Grand Vizier intelligence window. It's not active yet, but it will show what your Grand Vizier believes will be the result, because there's a lot of different factors that come into play, and a lot of it is kind of just common sense. If the character hates you and their house hates you, and it's something that's going to hurt them, they're probably not going to go along with it unless you have overwhelming power. If they like you, they'll probably do it, again, unless it's something that goes against their identities or motives or traits. So a lot of it's pretty much self-explanatory. So this is probably not going to go my way. Yeah, these goods are for our house distributors we see fit. We will not send goods to the Empire. So kind of felt like that would happen. So there's that. So as you can see, I only have 2 AP this turn because I had a lot last turn that kind of developed. So let's see what's going on. So I have a new alert, public order low, unrest on planet Helu Dishi has increased to 30%. So unrest in this version, there are not riots yet. However, unrest does affect production. So if anything above 20% unrest for an individual pop, they will scale back their production, whether it be a farmer or an engineer. They will produce less. So that will be something I want to take a look at. So let's take a look and see what's going on here. Okay, so it's provincial capital. It is owned by me. Let's take a look. When you look at why people are unhappy, first thing you want to look at is the culture. Okay, so I have Hawkstorm, should be a traditionalist. Let's take a look at her. Now, we don't know a lot about her. She has a very low intel level. We know she's phobic, which means she won't travel, which means she won't be eligible to be a administrator, except on that planet. So we probably need to get to know her a little bit better. And this is a way to kind of see how we can get to know a character. So this is just spending some time, getting to know the character, increasing their intel level, possibly increasing your friendship levels. Let's see what happens. Yes, I would be honored to spend some time with you. I accept your offer. And so intel is now low. So now intel is low. So I've got a little bit more information. So instead of just high and low, I will have some shades of gray. So I can do that again and see what goes on. And you see, I still can't see her her skills. I need to be at least a medium to do that. Now, let's see. We go here. So 70%. So what does that mean? It means a couple of things. It means that they may not love their viceroy or their system governor or their province governor. It has lessened effects. So they have a fear level of 10% of her, which isn't super high. They generally like her. She does have a high honor and a high empathy and a high charm. So that's good. So they probably don't hate her and love herself. Plus she is a new American culture. Let's take a look and see if there's any jobs. So this is kind of a rebuilt screen. You can kind of see there are now some tooltips that show kind of how these things are produced and what is affecting that. So well, here's our first problem. We have miners and farmers that have nowhere to work. I have 6 farmers that are employed, but I have 27 on the planet. I have 3 miners, but I have 18 on the planet. And I have 6 engineers, but I'm sorry, 6 fluxmen, but I have 24 on the planet. I just don't have enough facilities on this planet. It's pretty much because it's been built over for government because it's a provincial capital. So as you can see, it's by far more admin. So I have a friendly governor, so I do have some options with this. Well, but first let's take a look and see, why aren't people just leaving? Why aren't they just migrating? Well, they're immigrating but they're immigrating for the admin jobs. So that's interesting. So let's see, let's take a look out. Let's see, so Xanadu's kind of out here. Now, one thing that's also changed is the migration system. So farmers and miners can't go very far. Okay, they basically have to stay within either their system or a very close system nearby. Um, Engineers, fluxmen, they can go farther, and merchants and administrators and scientists can go very far. They can go across multiple provinces. But let's take a look and see. Let's go to our logistical. Okay, so they are within logistical range. Now, if a system is not within logistical range, then they cannot immigrate or emigrate, because that logistical range represents basically an entire network of fuel depots, hubs, inter system stations, things like that. It's not just one big, station. It just represents that infrastructure that one particular system is paying for. So they can get anywhere, but the bad news is that's the only logistical station in my empire, which means nobody can immigrate out of here, nobody can immigrate out of here, nobody can immigrate out of here. So the options for Xanadu are very limited. So when we go back in and we look at where these people came from, we can go in, here's migration, they came from Dreamland. Well, where's Dreamland? Well, Dreamland is in the Neo-Osiris system, so it's in the home system, which is not very far away. So they're not coming from, and as you can see, these little numbers, I need to make these a little bigger, these show the migration patterns. So you can see 4 million, 1 million, 2 million. I'm losing some people. Here's Inception, they gained 3 million. Where did they gain them from? So here's Copernica. So let's see, they gained 2 million. Here they gained 1 million. Copernica had 2 that were born, and Nidola had 2 that were born and 1 that died. So pops can, when they're born, they're not actually born. They actually graduate school so that they kind of go into your workforce. So that's what happened there. So I've got kind of a few issues right now. I know I'm talking through a lot of stuff, but just kind of what you'd be looking at. So coming back to my original issue, I've got minimal unrest. It's not terrible. 70% is not bad. I'm going to just leave this at for now. Even though it's a provincial, they're not putting in a lot. Now here's something else new. This is production level. I can change this through a viceroy. I can crank this up all the way to 100%. That means I'm working my engineers to the bone to create more build points to build more stuff. Okay, right now they have very few build points, but here's the problem. If I crank them up, they tend to get angry. And if you crank it up too high for too long, they'll probably just go find a better planet or a viceroy that doesn't want to work them to the bone. So when I look at what I have, I only have 9 factories. That's not very many. And I have not very skilled engineers. So as you can see, this goes 0 to 100. So my engineers are not very skilled. They're probably coming from my cast. Hawkstorm is not known for having great engineers. They're known for having great admins. So, I mean, there's some things that I can do. I can encourage more people to come, but I don't have that many factories. I only have 9. So here's one thing I can do. There's 2 things I can do, even though I have 1 AP. So this may or may not work. Again, there's many different ways to try and solve a problem on Alliance of the Sacred Sun. So I'm going to go to Assignment Actions. So the first thing I'm going to do is initiate recruitment. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to improve specific economic sector. Okay. So I want to build more. Right now, the specific sector is admin. Well, I feel like I've got plenty of ADM right now. I want more factories. Okay. So I need you to develop the factories economic sector. And since we're friends, and since she's in my house, and since she shouldn't have a virulent hatred towards factories, she already has a fairly high power base. It should be okay. So yes, there's a few bugs in this one. I haven't converted all of the actions over to the new system with the different colors, and there's some more variety. But it does say I shall do so. Start building factory sector. So yay. Okay. So now when I get out of there. So now, when you go to a build point, now you see it's factory. So now you can see that she's still building a lot of food. So 17% is power and 14% is factory. Now remember, this is not, you're dealing with people. So why is she building 60% farms? Well, let's take a look. She's not making a lot of food. So we have a negative 21 resource. So she only has 6 farms and she's losing 21. Plus, as a provincial capital, um, she will have to send a lot of goods out. You can see she's exporting. Didn't export any food because she feels like she can't. But she's only importing 73.2. I haven't even gone into this yet, but export basically shows what's being sent to the empire. Import shows what's being sent from the hubs, either the system hubs or the planets within the system hub. So it basically goes planet to system hub to province hub to the empire, which is New Terra. So in this case, she has chosen not to send food because she feels like it is something she really needs. And if I were to zoom out, you'll see she feels the need is 100. So she needs food badly. So that's overriding because when we look at her, she has a high honor. Remember we talked about high empathy and high charm. She cares about her people. And so she doesn't want them to starve. So what you'll find is tend to have people with high charm and high empathy will tend to put things like electricity and food ahead of other things, including factories. So it's kind of part of the AI in the game, and it's kind of that fuzzy logic. Now you see my power continues to drop because I've had some actions backfire, and that's always a thing. If you kind of reach a point where if your power drops too low, you start having province governors, maybe even some system governors with more power, and then they're going to perhaps defy you if they don't like you. You get a lot done because they simply fear you, but 285 is not a lot of power. So again, when I go back here, I mean, the power of my house is very high, which is great, but 375, 321, 300. Now, I can put bar 1, if I want a friendly house to kind of take away some of these, I can take away a holding from Milok if I want, but I can't take away their throne world, not without creating war. So in this version, I cannot take away their throne world. Some houses have a designated throne world, which you will see. See if I go to Milok, throne world is Jutherbog. So if I go to the economic screen, see here's Jutherbog, so that is their home world. So I cannot take this away because that basically is their throne world. So, all right. So I still have a few problems. I got that going on. I've got a very minimal amount of heavy materials. I've got some planets that are losing some food. So when I take a look at my main overview, if I go to my planets, this is kind of a way of seeing the planets in full scope. The good news is I've got a positive. That would be another thing. If I had a negative, gross product, if I end the year with negative and I don't have anything in my budget to offset that in what's called my domestic budget, then my people will vote and the game is over. So that's a very, very critical thing. So let's see if I can find who is making heavy materials and see how I can get them to the empire. So I come over here. So I look at who's got, okay, well, Dreamland. Dreamland has a significant increase. So let's go take a look at Dreamland. Let's see. Okay, so they are they do not have a trade hub. So they are exporting. See, they're making 42.7 heavy materials. They have a huge increase, but they're not exporting very much. And the reason for that is I have basically a robot running this particular planet, and robots tend to be very, very conservative when it comes to trades. So what I can do, and this is not completely completed yet, but I can force them. Actually, I can't because I'm out of AP. But one of the things I can do is I can insist that they trade one particular good that they currently do not. So in other words, with the planet before where they weren't trading food, if I needed that put into the trade system, I could request that be put in. So we're going to go ahead and back out, but that's one place that I can get. So I see that is coming in, but it's just not supporting very much of that. So again, I could increase the production level. I actually will try to do that next round. There's just so much that's changed. Another thing here, you can see if you zoom in, I've changed it to where zooming all the way in now shows this particular screen on every mode, no matter what mode you're in. Otherwise, you're zoomed out. It was just kind of an ease of use kind of thing. So, all right. So we're going to go ahead and go another turn. I'm going to put it into economics so you can see all the little ships flying around. So those green ships are the trade ships. So these trade ships are coming in from the province. These are coming from here. Now you also see white ships. So the white ships are trades that are privately of the Planet Hub. So there's a trade going from System Extropia to Beatitude, and there's a trade from Entreaty to Beatitude. Now, this won't happen next time because the system thought it was part of this trade group. When it recalculated, as it should have the first time, it would not have been able to make this trade because technically it doesn't belong to a trade group. Trade groups only happen when these spheres of influence touch. And as you can see, and that's affected by the size of the hub, whether it's a system or province hub, how many merchants are there and their skill, as well as the size of the star base. So I can make this touch by building a star base. Until then, it's actually going to be cut off. It's all about where you want to put your resources, because star bases cost a lot of money. They cost infrastructure to maintain. I don't have a lot of heavy materials right now, so any project I undertake, I'm going to have to really take. Now you can see my project got completed. It had said 2 to 3 turns. There is a kind of a fudge factor built in there. I need to change the UI to show that fudge factor, but that has been completed. So now, when I go back, there should be a province trade hub. This should update once it gets to recalculating the trade hubs. So that will become a province hub. It should go larger, and then I can start building up this area. I can build system hubs and start building them up so that hopefully this province can start being a useful contributor. Even though it is owned by currently one of my allies, I want to make sure they're still an ally. That will increase their power as well. So when we start getting into the wars and treaties and things like Cold War between houses, it's going to be very important to create allies. You want to think of houses as basically minor civilizations within your own empire, because that's basically what they are. So let's take a look. I showed while we're waiting for the turn to finish. Let's go ahead and look and see what was sent. So you can go into the trade. So you can see that 9 basic materials were sent for 4 billion credits. So this is, they're making a profit of 4 billion credits. They have quite a ways to go, but it's something, I guess. So then, of course, when we go out, we go to the other planet that took it. See, and they paid. Well, they have a trade. Oh, that's right. They have a trade coming from the other planet as well. So they're paying 34 credits because of the distance. So 4 credits because it's pretty close. The other one way out, and distance is a factor. But if you're desperate enough and you have need of a specific resource, like right now, they need basic materials. They're not really making any. The production level is already pretty high. Their viceroy's cranked it up to a yellow level. They just don't have that many mines, so they just can't make that many. So when I back out and look at their need here, as you can see, it's at 100%. So so their stockpile for basic, they're going to be out in like 10 turns. So they're having to trade a tremendous amount. So that is definitely going to be a loss for them. It's a good thing that their GBP is pretty high. They can kind of afford some of that. But that's going to be a trade-off. So that's going to be a drain on Barwan's resources when they finally, and this is where it's kind of slowing down, like at the very end of the turn. All right, so new turn. All right, so we look at last turn. So I worsened the relationship because, yes, I asked her to do something she didn't want to do. So now I'm at a challenge with her. And challenge is kind of another thing that's been added. It's basically a power relationship between 2 characters played out over a series of turns. At the end, it's determined whoever wins gains power from the other who loses power. So it's kind of a public political duel, if you will. So okay, so I wanted to go back to, see, now I have 4. And so my people generally like me. I don't really have a lot of bad things going on. See, there's my province hub now. So now I can start building up. So now, you see, now that it's a province hub, now they're sending me goods. So when I come here now, there's my province hub. Yay! They have now sent me. So now I've got, but only 6.5 heavy. So even though I had a net increase of 17 from trades, it's still not going very fast because no one here really makes a lot of heavy materials. So I might need to consider, there's, again, all kinds of things I can consider. I can put a viceroy in that has much better mining. Let's try and do that. Actually, I can't because it's not my holding. Let's go to a planet that is mine. And something I need to put on here is the flag of the whoever owns this planets. That would help a lot. Okay. Nope, Curly Finn. Alright, let's do it this way. Still working on the UI. As I said, this is not a finished product by far. Okay, so let's look at a planet. Okay, so let's say Dreamland. Let's do that. Okay, because I had said earlier we were going to kind of work on Dreamland anyway. So they're exporting. Yeah, they're making a tremendous amount of heavy materials. When we look at this guy, he's amazing. So he's an AI, but if you look at his skills, they're almost 200 across the board because he has very high admin and exceptional intelligence. So can't teach, but he can pretty much do everything else. And then the system governor, we don't know, but that also has an effect. But you can see they're not very good. I may need to replace them because their admin is low, but that's kind of a long-term goal. Anyway, so I can increase their production level. So let's start with that. Let's increase production level. So here we go. Remember, this was producing at 45.3. Okay. Now this is an increase. This doesn't increase the heavy materials. All it does is it increases the build points to 56. But I want to build more mines. Right now it's focusing on admin. So my two-step process, I'm going to go here. I'm going to improve specific economic sector. I'm going to ask for more mines. Yes, you will do that. And then I'm also going to change manufacturing overdrive, and I'm going to make it 60%. No, I'll make it 70%. Okay. Should allow, yes, must be run in a different tempo. I'll ask the manufacturing complex to make the necessary changes. So now I'm out. Now you can see the build points have skyrocketed to 206. Now I'm going to have some very pissed off people. There's a slight bug. There's a little bit of an overlap where sometimes I have more people than pops. I'm still tracking down, but for the most part, it's pretty much been done. So now you notice when I increase that, I increase my usage of basic and heavy materials. If I need those materials to be let go, let's say I'm negative a huge amount. See, I've only got 122 basic materials, so that's a huge amount. I'm going to burn through that in about 6 turns. And that's quite a while, even though I can build quite a few mines. And as you can see, this person is doing what I'm asking him to do. He's actually put 47% into mine because I don't really have any other major issues. But when I back out now, I can look at Dreamland, see there's no import needs, but I guarantee next turn that's going to change because he's going to realize he's going to run out very quick. I am going to put some programming in there to kind of mitigate that, but that is part of what we have. So I can start looking for some other things. Now here's what's called estimated infra cost. This is one of the new things. You can build a mining outpost. Now you can now build them on ice and gas giants, but the infrastructure cost, and this is estimated, but remember here, we looked at the cost of each planet, and then we looked at the empire share. So outposts run at a huge loss generally. And so your question is, are they going to run at a small loss or a bigger loss? And the biggest way you can control that is by the type of planet that you create an outpost on. But sometimes if you need tremendous energy or tremendous reserves, you may have to do that. But remember, you're paying a high amount for infrastructure, so that you're generally shielding from moons and gas giants and volcanoes and such, and it costs a lot to do that. So so right now I'm not going to do that, but I could. Like, let's say I wanted to build a system here. Now, by the way, in order to build, you have to, again, have your logistical range covered. If I go over here, if I try to build a system, well, I can't do it here anyway, but if I tried to build I can build a logistical station, but I can't build and I can build a starbase, but I can't build a outpost. So you can kind of build ahead, but it won't really do you much good. But you can now, that's something else, you can now build logistical stations on planets that you do not own. That is a change. That's a way to kind of make it a little bit easier to expand, so that you can kind of get ahead. Of course, it's cheaper to do that if you build it inside a owned, because the ADM is going to be very difficult because it's not owned. So now I have a lot of options. I mean, right now my people pretty much love me. My biggest problem now is I'm running out of heavy materials, and my energy is not great either. But fortunately, I'm not losing a lot of money. My people are pretty happy with me. I'm pretty lucky with my role. Usually you have a lot more people hate you. We only have one hate you. That's actually pretty easy. So that's pretty calm. That when houses like you, their people tend to like you more too. So that's one reason that my love is much higher than it normally would be. Normally it'd be dropping, but I do have some planets that are going. See, here's 32% on Illich. Hilo Shade hadn't really increased. It still is at 30%, so it's kind of steady. But Illich is not my planet, so I can kind of let it go. That is Hawken. And Hawken and I are friends, so I can decide whether I want to do something to try to help them. So you know what? I'm going to be nice. I can do a couple of things now. We talked about more projects. I can throw a celebration. I can build a system entertainment complex. That's a way not only to generate more income, but also make your pops happier. But again, we look at throw celebration. It costs 200 heavy, and I only have 454. So I may not be able to do that just yet. So, so what I am going to do, I'm going to take a look at what's coming in to Neosiris as far as trades. So I go in, I go to New Terra, I go to trade. So I've got 79.1 coming. Now these are real-time trades. They don't just appear. There is an actual ship. That ship can be destroyed. It can be taken by pirates. Not yet, but it will be in the game design. So you have to actually wait for that to get there before you get the materials, which is a factor when you have very long trades and you have far-flung empires. So there's a lot to consider. So the reality is I need more heavy materials. If I'm going to do, I'm kind of at a standstill with what I can do. So my options now are to either build some province hubs, some system hubs, and try to connect, because right now, you know, here I've got Yonghang. Let's take a look. Yonghang, see, they have 46 basic, 86 heavy. So they are making, they have the potential of making a lot. They just don't have a lot of mines. Actually, they do have a lot of mines. They just don't have a lot of, oh, you know why? Because they have a lot of factories. So here's another example of, let's say that I want to decrease. I need these to be released. I need them to quit losing so much because their production level is too high. They have too many factories. So I can go into assignment actions. I can change overdrive. Should be okay. We're friends. We're the same thing. I'm going to change it to 5%. So we're not going to completely shut down the factories, but we're going to, for the most part, shut them. Now, you see I'm losing much, much, much less. Went to 0.2, 0.4. I'm actually gaining a little bit of rare materials by basically shutting down the, now my build points have dropped all the way to 5. So these will be built a lot slower, but I don't really need anything right now to be built. It's not, my people are, we got 232 million people, nobody's migrating out, public order's not terrible, the love is good, ideology, tolerance is relatively high. I'm going to get into that in a whole, that's a whole other system ideology. So I'm going to prepare this for eventually building a system hub, but to do that I want to build up because I want to take advantage. I mean, this is incredible. Having an 86 average, I mean, look at all these mountains and volcanoes. No wonder it's so great. Forest, jungle, this is all great for minerals. So that's going to be kind of a factor. So I'm going to have him build mines. Now there's another way to do this too, what I call designations. I can't do them right now because I don't have 1 AP. But designations are a way of changing over a house, a owned. You can't do this if it's not a holding, but you can change over a planet almost entirely using one project, and it's very expensive to do that, and it will cause a lot of problems if you're changing over like farming to mining or mining to government nexus. You know, obviously farmers can't be administrators, but so a lot of them will try to leave because you're going to be shutting down a lot of farms and building a lot more government in a short period of time. So I'm going to go with my last one. I'm going to go assignment actions, and I'm going to have him improve sector, improve mines. Yes, because again, use your logic. So now he's building 28%. Again, food is still important because he only has 291, and not a lot of farmers. So I could have him build farm, but he's already defaulting to building a fair amount of farm. These are not stupid viceroys for the most part. You don't have to do a lot of micromanagement. Intelligent viceroys like this one, he's actually got a fairly low intelligence, but even the dumbest ones will know your people need food and energy. So they will do what they can to make sure that that basic is met, whether it be to get trades, if they have at least a trade hub. Now this one doesn't have a trade hub, even though it have 52 merchants. which is something they should probably build because they can't import anything. So they have no way of, so you see they're already kind of seeing a little bit of a need here, 21 getting a little high, but they can't bring in any food because they don't have a trade port. So I could build a project to build a trade port, but of course that costs me energy, and it also costs me heavy materials, so I may have to wait on that. So a big part of the early strategy is what's really important and how can I get the houses on my side. And this one it's easy because a lot of them are already on my side without pissing off other houses. How can I get the materials I need? How can I keep my people to love me? How can I keep my power up? The easiest way to do that is by doing good decisions and projects. And how can I start to build out and explore the galaxy and increase my power? So that's kind of where we're at right now. There's a lot that I didn't go over. That's kind of the new stuff that's come up, but that's only 3 turns. When you look at all the different things that were considered, there's a lot of gameplay. We're going to be adding Intel in the very near future, as well as the reform system, which is kind of the science system. So we're going to go ahead and call it for now. But hopefully you've had a lot to see, and you've seen some of the new graphics and new concepts, and we should be putting out another video shortly. But I hope you've enjoyed watching, and I hope if you haven't got Alliance of the Sacred Sons yet, keep in mind it's still only $7.99 for about another month before we go to 0.7, at which point it will go up to $14.99. So just a thought. Thank you guys very much. Have a great day.